Alright, as promised, here we go with my Ohio Valley Wrestling career video, part 1. I'm sure there's going to be a few more parts to this. I've got 10 minutes to pretty much tell you whatever I can here on how I got started in OVW all the way up through my ending of my career there in 2001. It was only a brief, like 2 years, I think I was there, 1999 to 2001. And what it was Jim Cornette was just starting out with the WWE after doing his bit with Smoky Mountain Wrestling, which ended up going down the tubes. So he was bringing some of his Smoky Mountain wrestlers, like the Rock and Roll Express and Dirty White Boy, a couple of the characters, Tracy Smothers, a bunch of those guys over at the WWE. They were all given different characters, obviously, and he was trying to branch the Smoky Mountain there. He eventually folded shop with Smoky Mountain Wrestling. And then, of course, he's from Louisville, Kentucky. He came to Ohio Valley Wrestling, saw what was going on there. They basically were just doing their own. Danny Davis was doing his own training, and it was just a basic wrestling promotion is all it was. Wasn't a training ground for the WWE or anything like that at the time. In fact, at the time, the WWE was getting most of their talent from the USWA, which was Jerry Lawler's old organization down in Memphis, Tennessee. What happened basically, from what I remember, just to give you guys a brief, on how this all happened here, was Jimmy didn't like doing all the traveling. He's a Southerner, wasn't getting treated very well from the suits in Connecticut and New York, so he talked him into, doing something with Ohio Valley Wrestling and taking that and creating it to where it's the training grounds for the WWE as the USWA started folding shop themselves. So Cornette ended up moving to Louisville, Kentucky again, and they ended up working with Ohio Valley Wrestling, which at the time was stationed over in, I believe it was Clarksville or Jeffersonville, New Albany, Indiana, one of the two. Wasn't in Louisville like it is now. It was across the river, and we actually worked in I guess you can say it was like a deserted little warehouse. I mean, it was pretty tiny. You could fit maybe 100 people inside, if that. The locker rooms were real small. I mean, it was just an old-fashioned training ground, which was kind of cool compared to where, right now these guys have, I don't know if you've ever been to an Ohio Valley show or not, but their new location, it's just a huge building. I mean, it's many times over what the Ohio Valley building used to be over in, like I said, Indiana. So, Ohio Valley Wrestling, you had Jim Cornette as the booker, you had Danny Davis running stuff, especially the TV, and of course he was doing some of the training that they had there, and you also had Rip Rogers, who was from Seymour, Indiana, and he had a brief stint with WCW, and he worked with Randy Savage and quite a few of those guys in I believe it was the CWA in Kentucky, and he was training also these guys as they were developing talent for the WWE. So the WWE would pick up some prospects, send them to Ohio Valley Wrestling, and there the guys would train for as long as needed until the WWE called them up. And basically I was working with Ian Rotten's group in the IWA at the time, and through 1998 basically, when I was living here in Louisville, Kentucky. And Kenny Bolin, a one-time friend of mine, wanted to bring me over because, like I said, Ian Rotten's group was this extreme wrestling, and we just didn't like it, and we thought it was just going to be a passing phase, and there's really nothing wrestling about hitting each other with light tubes and barbed wire and things like that. That was all ECW. When ECW was created, basically everybody and their brother tried to copy them, so all of a sudden everything was a bloodshed instead of actual wrestling. So I was taken from IWA and I worked over in Ohio Valley Wrestling, and as you've probably seen in some of the videos I just did here, holding up the pictures, I came in as a lawyer for Bolin Services, Kenny Bolin. He was the manager there, and he had like a little clique, kind of like the Four Horsemen or Degeneration X, a group of wrestlers basically, and he was the manager, and he would bring me in, and I was in a suit and tie, and I'd be his lawyer, and they came up with the name Thurston Throckmorton, and I think it was taken from an old either Three Stooges or a Groucho Marx Brothers movies, but basically I was given this lawyer gimmick to do, and I still had my hair. I was clean shaven, didn't have a beard. Sometimes I'd wear my glasses, sometimes I wouldn't. And basically I was there just to get Kenny Bolin out of any kind of legal troubles that he was going on during the time in Ohio Valley Wrestling. And it was great because I got to see a lot of these guys that have gone on to the WWE, such as Nick Dinsmore, Rob Conway, Doug Basham, Damaja, who is Danny Basham, Rico Constantino, Randy Orton, John Cena, Dave Batista, Victoria has gone on. A lot of these people have just gone on to bigger and better things, which is great. And some of them haven't. Some of them were short term. They just didn't have what they wanted. The WWE wanted. So a lot of them got let go after maybe a year and a half, if that. Anyways, my career there in OVW was, kind of blasé, not really much going on. I was used just on occasion, nothing really major, maybe a couple run-ins, or I'd slide a chain in or something to one of the wrestlers. I was a semi-manager, I guess you could say, kind of playing behind the shadow of Kenny Bolin at the time. And then we had something happen in late October of 2000. I'm very good at doing my impressions, so we approached Jim Cornette about doing a bit. It was me and Kenny Bolin and a wrestler by the name of Russ McCullough, who's like 7 foot tall. And I'm looking at my timer here. I don't know if I have enough time to tell the story, so I'll continue with the next one. But basically, we backed ourselves into a match where it was going to be Kenny Bolin and myself, and then his accountant, Crony, against Russ McCullough at the Louisville Gardens on... It was actually, I believe, November 13th or October 13th of 2000 that the match was going to happen. And what we ended up doing was, the story was, we ended up all going to a hypnotist, myself, Kenny, and this guy named Crony, and we were going to be hypnotized to believe that we were these great wrestlers. So Crony, who almost didn't make the show, was hypnotized to believe that he was Hulk Hogan. Kenny Bolin was hypnotized to believe he was Jerry the King Lawler. And myself, Thurston Throckmorton, I grew my hair out, I grew a beard out, and I was hypnotized to believe that I was the Macho Man Randy Savage. So, that's where my career in OVW really took off, because I finally got to showcase my talent. And I could just nail my impression of Macho Man. I mean, as you've probably seen on my videos and heard my voice, I can nail it perfectly. I did all his motions, his movements. I had the voice down. I put a cape on. I had the bandana, the sunglasses. My roommate at the time had made the cape, had Macho Man on it. Again, you can see that in my videos. And basically, it was great. I'd come out there with Slim Jims and be like, "Oh yeah, the Macho Man, yeah." But it was great because Cornette just, he had never heard me do it. And we were going to do this on a tape, because they taped it and they would show it on regular TV here in Louisville and in parts of Indiana. And he just wanted to be surprised. If it failed, it failed. I would look like an idiot, and it wouldn't even matter, because it was meant to be a comedy bit. But it took off so well that the character continued for several months after that. And the build-up was that Kenny Bolin would come out to the ring, and he had a crown, and he was pretending to be Jerry the King Lawler. He was hypnotized to believe he was Jerry Lawler. And he came out there and he was just talking about the crowd and how, you may recognize me, I'm Jerry the King Lawler. And he was doing, the Lawler spiel, talking about being the greatest wrestler to come out of Louisville and just a big favorite in the area, and the fans needed to bow before him, etc., etc. And he announced his tag team partner. And then all of a sudden you hear the Macho Man's music, which is Pomp and Circumstance. That's his actual music. And out I came with the cape on, the Slim Jims, the glasses, the bandana, twirling in the ring. I mean, my finger, and throwing out the Slim Jims at people. And it was a great time. Again, I don't know how much time I have left here, so I'll try to work as much as I can, and then I'll go into the next video. But basically, I got in the ring. And Cornette was doing play-by-play with Dean Hill, and they didn't know what to think, obviously, because, again, Cornette never heard me or saw me do the impression before, so what I did was blow him away, needless to say, because I went out there and I challenged Russ McCullough. I threw a Slim Jim up to Jim Cornette, did the voice, And I told Russ McCullough that, on Friday the 13th, basically I was doing the whole spiel and talking about how I was going to knock him down in size and how he was just a